Forward flaps got a redesign. They have shrunk and shifted away from the ship's belly or the heat shield. You can see that on your screen there. This new position will reduce their exposure to heating during re-entry. We've also extended the length of Starship, and we've done this by 2 meters. This additional height gives us about 25% more propellant volume, which will aid in future longer duration missions. We also implemented propulsion upgrades, such as new fuel feed line system for the Raptor vacuum engines, as well as vacuum jacketing of feed lines and an improved propulsion avionics module.
And you've heard us talk, a lot of the experiments we're running today are focused on reentry. We're intentionally removing a whole bunch of tiles all over Starship itself in this missing tile test. They're removed in critical areas this time, including over those propellant tanks, around some of the flaps, as we're really looking to use this flight to push Starship's capabilities. If we're not resilient to a missing tile and the backup ablative underneath, we need to know that. We also test a couple of different tiles on Starship, some metallic ones, one of which has some active cooling built into it.
Avionics also underwent a complete redesign with 4 upgraded Starlink terminals. You can see the location there popping up on your screen. Those now combine Starlink navigation and radio frequency, as well as communications, into a single unit. And non-structural versions of the ship's catch fittings have been installed to test thermal performance, i.e. do they survive re-entry, along with a smooth and tapered edge on the tile line to address hot spots we covered and saw in Flight 6.
And we've got some radar sensors on the tower catch arms again, as we're just looking at different ways to measure distance between the arms and a vehicle. These ones are actually protected by kind of a modified version of our heat shield tiles. Catching the ship's going to be a little different from catching a booster. One of the key things is it's going to do that flip right before its landing burn that rapidly reorients your antennas, which you're using for navigation. So those extra sensors on the ground side help just add more layers of control as ship and tower talk together for the catch.
And in another first, Starship will deploy 4 Starlink simulators. They are similar in size to our next generation Starlink satellites. Starship will have the ability to deploy our advanced V3 Starlink satellites, which will help further Starlink's impact in the coming years as we work to expand access to high-speed internet all around the world.
Each Starlink V3 launch is planned to add about 60 terabits per second of capacity to the Starlink network. To give you some perspective, that's about 20 times the capacity we're adding right now with every V2 mini launch on a Falcon 9. Those Starlink simulators that we're going to deploy are on the same suborbital trajectory as Starship itself. They're expected to demise upon entry. Starship's trajectory looks super similar to our last couple of flights. Splashdown is targeted for the Indian Ocean. And then on top of all of that, again, we are planning to relight one Raptor engine while in space. That just helps us get data on the in-space burns and show Starship is capable of deorbiting.
Speaking of deorbiting, thanks to Starlink, one of the hallmarks of these Starship missions are the incredible views that we get throughout flight, and especially during reentry, as evidenced by many a phone and desktop background around here. Yeah. Every day, we're working to expand the Starlink network, both on Earth and in space. For how this all connects us to the big mission, let's head back to Chris.
Thanks, Kate. Personally, I love all those epic views of the plasma wrapping around Starship during reentry. Can't wait to see that later today. And fans of Starship may know that Starlink enables us to bring you lots of unprecedented views, both from space and here on Earth. Starlink is the world's largest satellite constellation operating in low Earth orbit today to deliver high-speed, low-latency broadband internet and connectivity, specifically for missions like Starship today. And as you can see on your screen, Starlink brings us many other views because of its capabilities. In addition to the dozens of cameras on Starship itself, we have mobile camera kits with Starlink deployed in the Indian Ocean, which is what you're seeing some footage of right now on your screen from a previous mission. You'll notice the Starlink mini dish in the foreground here as Starship lands in the background. Just what an image that captured from an earlier flight. Now, Starlink also connects our aerial and cinematography units on the ground at Starbase, which will help us deliver the incredible drone shots leading up to launch today. And here on your screen, you can actually see us moving the flaps, preparing Starship for flight, making sure all of the aero surfaces that need to move during flight can do so in the way that we need them to. Now, on Starship itself, Starlink will enable Starship today to stream more than 120 megabits per second of real-time, high-definition video and telemetry in every phase of flight, including views like you're seeing right now of those flaps moving. This not only helps provide those views, but it also helps give our engineers an incredible amount of data to help us rapidly and iterate across all parts of the system as we move through our development program.